Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 5 and today we're going to discuss about liberal and socialist economic system, UUD 1945 and law in trade treaty. Next slide. And the main topic that we're going to discuss is first introduction, second one is definition and implementation, next liberal and socialist economic system in Indonesia, next law in trade treaty, and then study case, and the last one is conclusion. And there are 5 members of our group. We're gonna introduce ourselves. Divia, you can introduce first.
Okay, my name is Divia Salsabila with 3-digit last NPM is 124.
And I'm Cika Nandita R with my 3 last digit of NPM is 116.
My name is Zahwa Nura Aziza and my last 3-digit NPM is 030.
My name is Arif Rahmansyah with my last 3 digits of NPM is 123.
And my name is Mohammad Fairuuz with my last 3 digits of NPM is 071.
Move to the first topic, definition and implementation will be presented by Arif. Arif, you can start.
Implementation. The United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and many European countries have adopted various forms of liberal economics which prioritize individual freedom, private property rights, and market competition. And the next slide is definition. A socialist economic system is characterized by public ownership of the means of production and distribution of goods and services. In socialist system, decisions about production and consumption are made collectively, often through a planning process, and resources are distributed according to need rather than profit. The government plays a more active role in managing the economy with the aim of ensuring that resources are distributed more equitably and that everyone has access to basic goods and services. And the last is implementation. Socialist economic systems have been practiced in a number of countries, including China, Cuba, and the former Soviet Union. This system prioritizes public ownership of the means of production, centralized planning, and a focus on social welfare and equality. And the next slide will be presented by Yuki.
So, in many countries, there has been a push for a hybrid economic system that combines elements of both liberalism and socialism, in an attempt to achieve a balance between individual freedom and social welfare. This is the next material is about the liberal and socialist economic system in Indonesia. So we have the 3 points of this chapter. The first point is Indonesia has adopted a mixed economic system, which means it incorporates elements of both liberal and socialist economic systems. And the second point is the implementation of the liberal economic system in Indonesia began in the 1980s under the leadership of the President Soeharto. This period was known as the New Order era. And the last point is the main aim of these policies was to attract foreign investment and promote the economic growth. And the relationship with Undang-Undang Dasar 1945. The relationship between the implementation of these economic systems and the Constitution or Undang-Undang Dasar 1945 is significant. The Article 53 of the Constitution states that the government must control and regulate the country's natural resources and basic industries in the interest of the people. And this article is often interpreted as a mandate for the government to implement socialist policies in Indonesia. So the next chapter will be presented by my friends Cika.
Okay. Thank you, Yuki. And I'm gonna explain about the law in trade treaty. Next slide, please. Okay, so the trade treaty, also known as the Asian Economic Community or AEC, or the Asian Free Trade Area or AFTA, is an agreement between the member states of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN, aimed at promoting regional economic integration and facilitating the free flow of goods, services, investment, and skilled labor within the Asian region. This agreement includes the Asian Free Trade Area Agreement or AFTA, the Asian Investment Area Agreement or AIA, and the Asian Framework Agreement on Services or AFES. You can see the pictures there. There are three Asian Free Trade Area. Next slide. And next slide will be presented by Zahwa.
So I'm gonna explain the study case of the Indonesian case. Next slide, please. So I take the case about the PTKHI versus the Hyundai. That Hyundai Motor Company terminated the unilateral agreement for the supply of spare part for commercial finance to the Corindo Heavy Industry, or we can say KHI. Hyundai Shanghai KHI Su Hyundai at the South Karda District Court for the total claim valued of 1.46 trillion. And then the termination of the contract by Hyundai was evaluated the law, particularly articles at 1266, 1338, and 1365 of the Civil Code. Hyundai also evaluated the decree of the Minister of Industry, recording of solo agency, and then the value of material losses reaches 1.26 trillion. Meanwhile, the immaterial loss is 200 billion until Hyundai is required to pay a total compensation of 1.46 trillion, so that the end of the decision state that the plaintiff's lawsuit named PTKHI was unacceptable. In addition, pushing the plaintiff to pay court costs, and PTKHI employees were forced to be laid off. Meanwhile, around 400 employees were laid off, and now there were 90 people left. This is the final decision of the case, and then the next slide. This is the rule that I have mentioned before. The lawsuit have been taken, and the next will be presented by Divia.
Okay. I will explain about international case studies. It's about the nationalizations of the Venezuela oil industry. In the early 1990s, the Venezuela government hoped to accelerate development in the oil sector through the Apertura Petrolera, or oil opening. Through this program, Venezuela invented and incentivized foreign investment to help it develop its vast petroleum resources. ConocoPhillips first entered the Venezuela oil market in 1992 through a partnership with Venezuela State Oil Company, Petróleos de Venezuela S.A. or PDVSA. The partnership created a joint venture known as Hamaka BV, which focused on developing heavy oil fields in the Venezuela Orinoco Belt. In 1997, ConocoPhillips also acquired a majority stake in Petrozuata, another oil project in the Orinoco Belt, through a partnership with PDVSA and French oil company Total SA. The project aims to produce heavy blended oil that can be exported to international markets. In 2007, CAFE's government passed its most extreme measures, a nationalizations program that would transfer ownership of international oil projects to mixed company, in which the Venezuelan state would hold a majority interest. As part of this policy, the Venezuelan government seized control of ConocoPhillips, Cerro Negro, Petrozuata, and Hamaka oil projects, as well as several other major oil companies. This policy involved violations of ConocoPhillips investment right by the government. Next slide, please. In 2008, ConocoPhillips filed a lawsuit against Venezuela at the International Court of Justice under the United States and Venezuela Mutual Investment Treaty. The company claimed that Venezuela violated the agreement by nationalizing the company assets without providing sufficient compensations. In 2013, the International Court of Justice ruled that Venezuela must pay ConocoPhillips $8.7 billion in damage for the nationalizations. However, Venezuela refused to pay the damage and ConocoPhillips took legal action to pursue the payment. ConocoPhillips is taking actions to seize assets belonging to PDVSA, Venezuela's nation's oil company, in the Caribbean and Europe as part of effort to pursue their redress payment. This forced PDVSA to halt operations at several oil terminals in the Caribbean and forced Venezuela to improve relations with some of its important trading partners. ConocoPhillips sued Venezuela before the International Center for Settlement of Investment Dispute, a dispute resolutions body based in Washington, D.C. in 2018. Its ICSID ruled that Venezuela had breached the bilateral investment treaty between Venezuela and ConocoPhillips, home country of the Netherlands, with the nationalizations. In 2019, Venezuela agreed to pay $2 billion in damages to ConocoPhillips in an out-of-court settlement. Next slide, please. In this case, Law number 25 of 2007, Chapter 5 on the treatment of investor, Article 7 from UUD 1945, explain the legal basis for ConocoPhillips to sue Venezuela. The next point presented by Cika.
Next slide, please. Okay, I'm gonna tell the conclusion of our materials today. Both systems have their advantage and disadvantage. Several countries have adopted a mixed economy that blends both liberalism and socialism. Indonesian mixed economy is a good example of this, where the government intervenes to guarantee social welfare and equality while prioritizing the free market role in driving economic growth. And overall, the primary objective of any economic system should be to enhance the citizens' welfare while balancing individual liberty and social welfare. The trade treaty aims to promote regional economic integration and facilitate the free flow of goods, services, investment, and skilled labor within the Asian region. It provides a legal framework for trade and investment liberalization and contains provision on trade policies and regulation, investment protection, dispute settlement, and regional cooperation. Next, so that's all from our group. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.